Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the message reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? I am a man who is going through a lot because of the things that my father left for me just before he passed away. My father, throughout his life, he was a man who was trying to change his ways and his family's ways. He used to go to church, and we grew up in church. And at the age of 10, that was when bad things started happening to my father. By the time that I was 12 years, my father, he then went out and he got his first Tokoloshi. And when he went to attain this Tokoloshi, it was because all that he wanted was to protect his livestock. My father, he was in the war. He was a war veteran. When he came back, he was given a plot of land, but he was given this plot of land in another area far from where he grew up in, and this caused a lot of division in the family because his own brothers were now saying that this thing that you want to do, it is going to destroy the family. We have to build your house here so that we can stay close to the graves of our ancestors. But my father, since he wanted to have this project, like getting into the farming business, he then took his family and we started staying in that village where he had gotten that big piece of land. So after he had started staying in another village, there was no longer any communication that was happening between him and his relatives. My father managed to buy a lot of cattle, goats, as well as he was having a project of keeping chickens and pigs. But my brother, there was something that started happening. All the cattle, they started dying, as well as the pigs. Each and every time that he would raise up those piglets, when it would come time for them to be sold to the market, then they will just die. And these pigs, they would die maybe 5 or 10 times in a single night. After my father had invited the pastor to come and pray at our homestead, because for a few months the church was now being held at our homestead, then things returned back to normality. But when people want to bewitch you, they will do anything. My father, when he was about to die, he then told me that after the church was now being attended at our homestead, he saw that things were not working out. Yes, they were like working out, like we were able to eat good food and to survive, but his business was not going anywhere. It was just a matter of surviving. He then went and he consulted with another traditional healer. When he went and consulted with that traditional healer, he was then told that one of his brothers, my uncle, once came and visited us, and I still remember because he just came out of nowhere. And at the place where we were now staying, my father had never showed this place to any of his relatives because they had said that, so you have chosen to abandon this village, you have chosen to abandon your ancestors' grave, so we are not going to follow you. But this uncle of ours, when he came, no one had ever given him any directions. And in these days, people didn't have any mobile phones. They used to communicate using handwritten letters, and we had never gotten any letter from this uncle of mine. When he came, my father was told that his brother, he had first gone to the graves back in that village where my father was born. When he went to the graves of their ancestors, he then spoke with the ancestors and he said that, you can see what your son has done. I do not have to remind you, but are you not feeling jealousy that other people in the neighborhood, they are regularly holding some ceremonies for their own ancestors? They are pouring traditional beer onto the ground so that they can quench the thirst of their ancestors. As for you, you are there in the mountains and you are just quiet. Are you not feeling jealousy? He then took soil from the graves of our ancestors and he came with that soil late at night. When he made sure that everyone was fast asleep, he went outside and he started sprinkling the soil all around the compound, as he was telling the ancestors that my father was a stubborn man, and the ancestors needed to remind my father that he still belonged to them, and it was them that had protected him throughout the days when he was fighting in the Bush War. So after our uncle had returned back home, my father, that was when he started to experience a lot of livestock theft that was happening at our small farm. Thieves would come and they would particularly target the goats, because those ones, they were quite easy. What these thieves used to do is that they would come, then they would choose a goat that they wanted to steal, then they will strike that goat with a screwdriver right here on the neck. Then the goat will just collapse and they will start slaughtering the goat right there. When he had gone to consult with that traditional healer, he was then given some herbs, and these herbs, he had to bury them into the four corners of his compound so as to protect his businesses. My father told me that when he returned back home, he didn't tell our mom, because that traditional healer had also given him a small bottle that he was supposed to hide from our mom, because this bottle, it was never meant to be touched by a woman, especially if that woman will be still seeing her days like before she would have hit menopause. And my father, when he returned back home, he said before he had entered into the compound, as per the instruction of that traditional healer, he then removed all of his clothes and he started going around the compound whilst he was digging in those charms that he had been given by that traditional healer. He then sneaked again into one of the rooms where he left that small bottle that had been given to him by that traditional healer, because this was the instruction that my mother was not supposed to set her eyes on him when he was still having that small bottle inside his pockets. When my father saw that he had managed to do all of these things in secret, he sneaked out again of the compound. He then went to wash himself by the river. And when he was doing this, my brother, it was like late at night, somewhere around 11 p.m. or so. And he then returned back home and he pretended as if this was like the first time that he had returned back home. As time went on, my father said that he kept on shifting the hiding places of that bottle that was given to him in times whereby we will be keeping the seeds in this other storage house. That is where he used to hide that bottle. And when it was time for us to remove the seeds so that we can go and plant them by the fields, he would remove that bottle again and he would go and hide it in another place. All in all, this bottle was never meant to get out of the compound, no matter what. My mom was never supposed to see it, and at the same time, my father had been forbidden to hide this bottle anywhere outside of the compound. So it then happened that my father, she fell sick, and when she fell sick, some of her people then came so that they can take care of our mom. And there was a period at our compound whereby there was a lot of my mom's relatives, because my father at that time, he had so much livestock, and at our homestead food was always abundant. My father then said that when he saw that there was a lot of people that was there now at his compound, he thought that it was much easier for him to go and hide this small bottle in the mountains. He selected this other cave where he wanted to go and hide this small bottle. The cave that he said he chose, he said that he specifically chose this cave because when he was going around the mountains once, he had seen a leopard, and this leopard was busy raising its young cubs, and he knew that a place whereby a leopard can choose to raise its young cubs, it was a safe place. He then climbed the mountain again, and that is where he went and he hid that bottle inside that dark cave. Years went by, my brother. That was when my father started to notice that whenever he would get outside of the bedroom, he would always see this other snake, and the snake will immediately disappear. And the next thing that started happening is that one of my little sister at that time, she was really young. She was somewhere around 6 years old. And the things that started happening to this little sister of mine, she fell sick. And the illness that was now affecting her, it is a kind of an illness whereby you can only get it when you have intercourse with another person. So they thought that there was something wrong that had happened to my sister, like a man had abused her. So they went with her to the clinic, but it was found out that no one had ever penetrated her, meaning that there was no abuse at all. My father then thought of returning back to that traditional healer. Unfortunately, that traditional healer had passed away. He then went to another healer who told her that this what was happening to my little sister. There was no one who had abused her, but it was just that this snake was the one that was sleeping with my sister. My father then said, "What snake? Which snake are you talking about?" He was then told that the charms that he had gone to hide in the mountains, that charm, it had transformed itself and it had become a snake. So this snake, it would regularly climb down the mountain so that it can come and start sleeping with my little sister. And all of the things that they were seeing on her private parts, it was like the poison that was being left behind by that snake after it would have finished sleeping with her. And if this issue was not going to be solved, then it meant that the poisonous substance that they were seeing on my sister's private parts, it was going to destroy her womb such that she will never be able to conceive ever in her life. So my brother, when my father said that he was told this by the traditional healer, he then thought of doing another sacrifice. This time around, the sacrifice that was needed was for him to slaughter a cow. If only he could slaughter a cow regularly, then he was going to appease that snake. For years and years, my father was slaughtering one of his cow each and every year. And as time went on, he then saw that instead of him having a single snake, he was now having another female Tokoloshi. And that was when this Tokoloshi told him that it required no human blood. All that it needed was a husband. My father said that he tried to send this female Tokoloshi to some of his male relatives, but this Tokoloshi came back and said that all of his relatives were not nice. So this Tokoloshi then chose me, and after it had chosen me, it then said that if I was going to have kids of my own, it was also going to choose one amongst my children. It was going to choose any of my boys if I was ever going to be able to have kids. Right now, my brother, I am a man who is aged 38 years old. I do not have a child. I have never been married before. The reason why I have never been married, it is because of these Tokologies that my father went out and got. I can't get married because in the spiritual world, I am already married. I once tried to go around looking for assistance from the prophets, but there are some prophets whereby when they will be assisting me, a prophet will just start crying. This prophet told me that the reason as to why he was screaming like that in pain, it was because when he was praying for me, then he saw that suddenly in front of me there was a woman who was standing there, and that woman was asking him like, why are you trying to rescue him? Why are you trying to destroy my relationship with this man that was given to me by his own father? Are you his father? What authority do you have? Then that prophet tried to fight with this Tokoloshi in the spirit, and as he was screaming like the way that he was screaming in pain, he said it was because like when they were fighting each other, that woman, the Tokoloshi, then started biting his manhood, and by the time that it started biting his balls, then started screaming in pain. So from there on, I then found it very difficult to have someone who can assist me, because usually what happens when I approach a prophet that can assist me. The prophet will just give me some excuses. What I have found out is that all of these prophets, the reason why they refuse to assist me, it is because when I am on my way to get assistance, they will be given a warning. Then this Tokoloshi will give them a warning in advance and tell them not to assist me. So my brother, I am just stuck. I do not even know what am I supposed to do anymore. Right now, I have never been married. I am still waiting to find a woman, because it said that, because it told my father that when it wants me to get married, it said that it was going to provide a wife for me. But I am so scared, because what kind of a wife that a Tokoloshi is going to choose for me? And I know that maybe this wife it is going to choose for me, it is going to be a woman who is going to be evil as well. I have tried to visit several churches. There are some pastors who even tried to make me pay so that they can pray for me. There was one pastor who ended up charging me money because I just wanted him to help me, and after he had prayed for me, nothing changed, my brother. I am still living in that same situation. Please help me, Brother Nashi, if you know anyone that can assist me.